Hey folks, welcome back to my channel, Relationship Haven. My name is Gary, and I hope you're all having a lovely day or evening wherever you are. In today's story, OP found out that his wife of 25 years cheated on him after she left the house and claimed she was going out for drinks with her co-workers. His wife then never returned until late afternoon the next day. OP then confronted his wife, who told him the shocking news about what happened the previous night. In today's second story, OP found out his wife cheated, then immediately left a goodbye letter on the table for her to let her know that he found out. Now, let's get into today's stories. So last week, my wife told me she was going out for drinks with a female friend from work. They go out once a week or so, multiple times a week, on occasion. A little background, we have been together for 25 years at this point. My wife dealt with pain pill addiction for many years. She spent the last 15 or so on another addictive med that kept her out of withdrawals. She recently got off of that and has taken to drinking all day now. She has admitted to me that she slept with her ex-husband not long after we met, but not to anything else. She told me before about all the times she cheated on her ex and that she would take it to the grave before she ever admitted it to him. She only told me about sleeping with him to hurt me at the time. Anyway, there's another guy that is actually the father of her niece that she had a relationship with before he got with her sister. I know this and have known for years because I saw their emails. At that point, she felt compelled to tell her sister about their relationship so that she didn't find out on her own. She felt that it would be too hurtful to not address it, and that if I ever learned the full extent of it, I would leave her and take our kids. I've asked her about it before, and she has always denied it. Fast forward to Friday morning. She leaves the house in the morning to go to work. She reminds me that she's going for drinks with her coworker and that she may be home late, but probably not. She claims to have a hard time being around her coworker for too long because her energy is too high. Around 4:30, she sends me a pic by text of the two of them and says that they are having a couple of drinks at her house and then they're going out. I acknowledge her message and tell her to have fun. Around 8 hours later, she sends me another text saying that they are going to her house for a couple more drinks and to watch a movie. Again, I say okay and tell her to be careful, and I go to bed. I wake up around 9 o'clock in the morning and she never came home, so I send her the wow text, to which she doesn't respond. She read it but didn't reply. Our kids are worried. I already checked the local county arrest record just in case she got stopped for a DUI. Nothing. I don't hear from her until she staggers in the house at 4 in the afternoon. She comes in and lingers by the door where I can't see her for a minute before she goes into the hallway bathroom, which she never uses, instead of walking the 10 steps past me to the master bath in our room. When she does enter the room, she doesn't even look at me and has her back to me for the most part. When she does finally speak to me, she says, "Why are you looking at me? Go back to watching your show." At this point, I tell her that I expect her to account for herself and why she's been MIA for so long. She then tells me that her and the coworker went to the bar, went home, watched 50 Shades, and she then passed out. When she woke up, her coworker had left her in her house by herself and went to her boyfriend's house. At that point, she came home. She said all she had to drink was 3 Bloody Marys and a shot of tequila the night before. This is a lie, I'm sure, because she was still drunk. When I pressed her, she went into the bathroom again for several minutes after just using the bathroom less than 5 minutes before and telling me she stopped at the gas station to use the bathroom during her 5-minute ride home. I asked her repeatedly to tell me the truth because I didn't believe the story, and she refused. She claimed that she would never lie or cheat, so I called her out on the other guy, her sister's ex. She told me that all they did was kiss, and I told her that I didn't believe that because she has tried too hard to hide it, and that wouldn't justify me leaving her and taking the kids. I pointed out that her lie and behavior are what was making me doubt her about telling me the truth. I then asked why she was still drunk if she had so little to drink, and why she was so tired if she had gotten nearly 10 to 11 hours of sleep. Because if she just got home, she must have left her friend's house around 3:30. In an attempt to convince me she was telling the truth, she offered to show me an email from the sister's ex talking about how they never had sex, which blew me away. Of course, that stream had been deleted, but I did see where she sent her friend a text before noon that she had woken up and left to go home 4 hours before she arrived. She told me that she didn't know what time she left, even though the text did. Then she said that her only stop on the 10-minute path home was a Citgo gas station because she didn't feel well, so she passed out in the parking lot in her car. This is BS because she texted her work friend again at 2:30 to tell her that she had a great time last night and that she would talk to her later. I continued to ask her where she had been and what she had been doing, to which she offered that she bought $25 worth of cocaine, which gave her about 3 lines, and she was afraid to tell me. I told her that that still didn't explain what she did the night before and where she was for the 4 hours between leaving her friend's house and getting home, or why she was so tired if she had gotten so much sleep, and finally, why she was still drunk the following evening. Her response was, "If you don't believe me, I don't care." At that point, I dropped it because I obviously wasn't getting anywhere, and she proceeded to sleep for like 10 hours. While she was asleep, I went to Citgo and gave them a story about her car being hit while she was parked there, not feeling well, and asked them to review the tape, but there was no sign of her car sitting in front of the store for 3 to 4 hours. The next day, she apologized for anything mean she may have said, and that she drank too much, since all the time from leaving her friend's house and getting home 4 hours later was gone. She also offered me sex, which she never does, but has said nothing else about it. Today, Monday, it's obviously still on my mind, and she asked me, "What now?" And I didn't respond. I'm not stupid, so it seems obvious to me that there were some activities going on that she doesn't want me to know about, especially since she threw out cocaine to try and get me to stop questioning her. I figure with that tactic, the rest of her night must have been a doozy. OP, here are my thoughts on the situation. To me, personally, it sounds as bad as you imagine it to be. Here are the steps I would take if I were you. First, send her to her parents or any close family and explain to them why you're sending her to them. Then, take this time to find her coworkers' contact info without getting it from your wife. Contact her and get the exact details of the night together and when they both departed from each other. After that, request your wife to write down a precise timeline of the missing hours, as well as let you know who her drug dealer is. Chances are, if she has a regular dealer, she could be exchanging services for the product. The last step is she needs to get an STD test and tell you the results. I wish you the best of luck, OP. Now, let's get into today's second story. I am writing this as a bit of journaling exercise and maybe for some support from people who have been through the same. Thanks for being so welcoming. We have been together since 2015, and early on I planned for this to be a lifelong relationship. It was rocky along the way, and this is part of the reason I never managed to propose. However, there is still a very mature ring fund, which will go somewhere else now, I'm sure. Around 2019, I began to think that maybe our relationship was not going to be like I had imagined it. We fought a lot, nothing physical, of course, just disagreements and mutual pouting and discontent. Our sex life dropped off significantly after 2016 for medical reasons, and it never really seemed to recover. In June of last year, we had a big discussion where she said, in many words, that I did not satisfy her. I had never satisfied her, and the thought of me in bed made her sick. It was very upsetting at the time, and in hindsight, I should have called our relationship then, but we decided initially that we would try to work our way through our problems. And we also ended up having a 4-month COVID lockdown shortly afterward, so I didn't want to throw her onto the street or anything. Around September, I discovered she had been sexting some guy overseas, a total breach of trust. But I decided I would bracket it because there was nothing physical, and even though we never discussed it openly, I thought she knew that I knew. I never approached this directly, but we eventually decided we would go to couples therapy. I discovered yesterday that she slept with another man in November last year while she was out of town on a short holiday. Some random she met online, and I presume she had been chatting with for a few weeks at least. I didn't care to ask for the exact date, but it was either shortly before or shortly after our first couples therapy session. When she went to work today, I left a note on the table saying goodbye, packed a bag, and went to my parents' place for a few days. This evening after she came home, we had an hour-long text-only discussion where she took responsibility for everything, promised to change, and asked if I would come back. I appreciated her honesty. I believe everything she has said. This is completely unlike her, something she acknowledged, and she is affected by both mental illness and gruesome sexual trauma as a child and young adult. But I said that this was a hard barrier for me, and I would not consider coming back even if we continue to seek couples therapy for this issue. I said I would consider going back to our therapist to work through the breakup process as we had discussed this previously in one of our sessions, and I can see how it could be helpful. It is also something our therapist has worked on. Even if we could make our way past this and she found a way to fix herself, it would always be a part of our past and something I would never be able to reconcile myself with while we were in a relationship. I don't fully believe that there has only been one other man. I asked how many other people she has had sex with during our relationship, and she said one, but I think this might have been a very strict definition of sex, and that she has been emotionally and physically cheating with several other men over at least the past 6 months, and even up until now. She said that this is a part of her life that feels like it's without consequence, and although that is obviously wrong, I can understand what she is saying. Anyway, the number doesn't matter. One is one too many. I feel very dirty for how I found this all out, especially since I was going by a gut feeling, but I feel partially vindicated by my gut being right. I don't know if I can shake this feeling of shame for having been able to discover this, even though it is for the best that I know and that we separate. I will likely be moving my appointment with my own therapist forward a few weeks to help with where I go from here. I don't quite know how she moves on from this, but I am trying my best to focus on myself. I don't know what I will do with myself yet because so much of who I am, what I do, what I'm like, revolves around what we were. I picked up my guitar for the first time in a few months and couldn't do much with it. I don't play as much now because I felt embarrassed playing around her. Not her fault. She was always very encouraging of all my creative pursuits. I have a few friends, but I am both a very reserved person and also someone who gets lonely easily. I might need to house share because I don't know if living alone is a good idea for me right now. I did say that I hope we can be friends one day, and I really do. Besides the infidelity and our other problems, she's great, and we did gel in a very cool way. But in my heart, it doesn't seem likely, at the very least, as soon as either one of us starts seeing someone else, unless they're super chill, I don't think it's going to work. I've decided that I'm not going to be super candid with other people about the circumstances of our breakup. There's no need to be. But it's something that I would mention to a future partner, and I can imagine for them that it would be a bit weird for your partner to be friends with their ex who is also a cheater. I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, as she will likely move to another city, and we won't have much opportunity to see each other again anyway. Anyway, that's my story. There were times this morning when I thought I might try to just let it slide and forget about it, but I'm glad the part of me which stood fast won over, because there was really no future knowing this. It would always eat at me. I don't know what the future holds, and I am truly scared because I have had struggles with alcohol and smoking in the past, which my partner really helped me to temper. I stopped smoking as a condition of getting together, which I'm grateful for, maybe with a sneaky cigarette every now and then at the pub. And I don't have that anymore. I have made a short list of things for me to try to do with myself for the next 4 weeks and have committed to not buying any spirits at all for now and only smoking if I go out and someone offers. I don't go out often, so this is generally sustainable for me. If there is anything any of you have done to get past the first few weeks and months of your breakup due to infidelity, I would certainly appreciate any advice. OP, I am very sorry to hear what you're going through. I noticed that earlier in your post it sounded like you were trying to justify why your wife cheated on you by bringing up childhood trauma and things like that. The truth is those things should never be used as an excuse for why someone cheats on you. She made the decision to cheat on you and now has to live with the consequences. Also, not sure why you want to have her remain in your life as friends. That wouldn't be a wise decision at all. If you did that, you would never truly be able to get over what she did and realize how she completely destroyed your marriage. Please wake up, OP. Now let's see what the comments had to say about the situation. Substantial 210 said, to allow yourself to be abused like this and effectively enable her means you really need to get into individual counseling. Why do you want to be friends with the person that killed your marriage? There's nothing noble in that. Cut her out of your life and cauterize the wound. She took a dump right in the middle of your plate. For the love of God, show a little dignity and rinse her from your life. OP responded by saying, I did say to her when we had our long text conversation last night that I only have 2 hard, uncompromising boundaries or conditions about who I share myself with in a relationship, which is that I won't date a fascist and I won't date a cheater. I guess I thought the no dating a cheater one was universal and didn't need to be stated explicitly. She explained that she had rationalized it as us being in a state of a failing relationship where this kind of activity is agreed upon, which I can comprehend, but obviously cannot accept and reject completely. Although I am very sad at what I've lost and all the potential of what I could have had if this hadn't happened, I'm feeling better than I thought I would. I still feel ashamed for how I discovered all this, but I'm mostly leaving with my head held high and feeling blameless because my gut was right. If I had left because we couldn't figure out our mutual problems, I would have been crushed with guilt and shame. But as it stands, I just don't feel either in any great quantity. I have plenty of growing to do before I date again, though, including how to respect both my and my partner's boundaries and how to spot the red flags both early and well into a relationship. Thanks for taking the time to listen to today's stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already done so, and comment below on what your thoughts are on today's stories. If there's a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me. Take care, everyone.